When you're busy in a business on your own, you're doing absolutely everything. The first hire that we always talk about getting in any business is some form of administration help.
We've hired operationally when it's just too much, and that's actually the wrong way to go about it. You should hire ahead of time. So yeah, forward planning that hiring process is important, because if you're just hiring to get a bum on a seat because you really desperately need it, you might not be getting the best talent for that, and it does take time to get the good talent in the business.
When you're certainly a technician in your role, you're used to doing the doing. Taking a step back and now becoming a business owner who has to run a business is a completely different mindset. So first hire, definitely administration help. Another thing we discussed going from a solopreneur to building a team is starting to set up systems and processes. And a great way of doing that is utilizing something like this is a very common story that I hear. You're an architect or you're an engineer or you're a technician of some kind. You want to then go out on your own. You're a solopreneur. You want to build a business, but it starts with you. You can sort of see the image on the screen. It's one guy on the phone, drinking coffee on the mouse. He's basically doing everything within the business. He's got 8 arms, and that's what it feels like when you're on your own running a business. And I had a one-to-one mentorship meeting with Callum this week, and he's an architect. He jumped ship in May last year. He's doing really, really well to get to where he is currently, but he's doing everything. And he wants to stop, and he wants to grow a team, and he wants to know how to get to the next step. So having built Aura from that to now having a team of 15 people, and me not really doing a huge amount day to day in that business, I feel like I'm pretty well placed to kind of help Callum. And there'll be a lot of people in that similar boat. And stuff I want to talk about on this is stuff that came out of the session with Callum and ways in which I think you can set yourself up for success going forward if you are looking to build a team. So the first thing that we spoke about was hiring. When you're busy in a business on your own, you're doing absolutely everything. The first hire that we always talk about getting in any business is some form of administration help. All of the stuff that you think only takes 2 or 3 minutes, but when you add up all of those 2 or 3 minutes, you're probably talking hours throughout the day that could be outsourced to someone else. And we talked about a good book. This is a good book recommendation. I think we've spoken about it before, but it's Who, Not How. And it's all about who can you get to do this work, not how do I do this work. So Who, Not How is a great book and a great way of learning to delegate, which is a massive art. And when you're certainly a technician in your role, you're used to doing the doing. Taking a step back and now becoming a business owner who has to run a business is a completely different mindset. So first hire, definitely administration help. And that doesn't have to be like a full-time person. We spoke about on Tuesday with Callum about the first couple of things that he can outsource very quickly is bookkeeping. He's just moved over to Xero, which is a financial accounting software, which again, we use and massively advocate using. But you could spend £150 on a bookkeeper a month, and that just takes away all of the hassle of invoicing and chasing up payments and reconciling accounts and providing management account reports and things like that. When I first started Aura, I also got some ad hoc help and support from some HR assistants. So again, I actually rolled that HR and bookkeeping up in one person, and she still does work for me now. So that I think at the time was maybe £200 for make sure I'm getting all my HR stuff in play, ready for when I want to bring on and hire new people, helping with the bookkeeping as well, and just being on hand, just make sure that from a company setup perspective, you're all hunky-dory from that perspective. So definitely first hire being admin. Another thing we discussed going from a solopreneur to building a team is starting to set up systems and processes. And a great way of doing that is utilizing something like Loom Video. Might have mentioned last week in our sort of tech apps that you can use within any business, but Loom videos are an amazing way of creating standard operating procedures for benign tasks that you just have to do. We talked about his fee proposals, for example. He doesn't need to actually write the fee proposal. It's templated. All that really needs to go into that fee proposal, the key information. And I asked him, where do you write down the information from your phone calls with clients? He said, I've got my notepad. It's like, okay, why don't you use something like Asana, a project management tool, for example, to type in the details that you would have otherwise written down in your notepad directly when you're speaking to the client, have a virtual assistant or something at the end of the Asana board managing that, to then take all of that information, put it into the fee proposal, so that all you really have to do is go in, read the fee proposal, check that it's okay, and send it out to the client. It's those sorts of systems and processes and operations that when you're starting to build a team, you need to try and filter out as much of the admin as you possibly can, as early as you possibly can. If you're getting value from this video, please subscribe down below, but do us one bigger favor and share it with just one person you think will get value from this. Thank you very much. Back to the video.
Good example of that, Ben, is I actually used an analogy earlier. I was talking about a task for our lead surveyor and what that means for him to do that fairly sort of straightforward, low sort of value add task. And I said it's the equivalent of getting the head chef to do deliveries, because you're taking the head chef out of the kitchen for high value tasks and delivering a low value task.
That is exactly what you should be doing. You should be thinking about your hourly rate. Your hourly rate should be higher as the business owner. Your high value tasks are things like sales. And Callum said, I love sales. I'm really good at sales. Okay, well, why aren't you doing more of that? Well, because I've got stuff to do in the office. I've got admin. There was also the operations of the business. Like although he comes from an architectural perspective, he is doing a lot of the drawing work. And when it comes to things like technical design, it's very robotic. It's a very robotic process, i.e. most of your creativity is done within the planning process or the feasibility stage. Like that's where the creative juices get going. That's where you submit your planning application. And this is relevant to any business. There's often parts of it that need your brain and creativity and sales and negotiation skills that maybe other people might not have. But then there's also the stuff that is more robotic, purely process driven, that you can find someone else to do. Who can I get to do this? How can I delegate to someone? I felt like a massive fear within Callum. And I said, if you've got a business assistant in your business, they field the calls. They're the original people that speak to the client. And that was like, but I should be the one speaking to the clients. I should be the one doing that. And there's time for that. And absolutely, there's no reason why that admin person can't initially field the call, gather information for then you to ring up if necessary. But that administration person should be more than capable of understanding the business, selling the business to a certain degree and fielding those initial calls. But there was a real mindset block of, no, I need to be the one taking the initial phone call when it comes in. That's really not the case. And if you are going to grow your business, you cannot be the one answering the phones all the time. It's just not going to happen. So you may as well start setting your business up from scratch with that sort of mindset. Fundamentally, what I did with Aura is like, what systems and processes can I put in place to remove myself from the day-to-day as fast as possible? It is a massively different mindset, especially when you come from a technical expertise where you're used to doing the do. You have to have a different mindset. You have to be listening to things like this, reading business books, all that type of stuff to hone your skills as a business owner, as a leader in that business, not just an operator. And I think, the other book recommendation I gave him was The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. So if you haven't read that, that's all about going from a solopreneur to a investor. Anything else do you think from going from a one-person business to building a team? What other key things can you think of? Sorry to interrupt. If you are tuning into this, love the idea of investing in or developing property. You have at least £50,000 cash, but don't have the time to deploy it, then why not consider investing in one of our XP projects? We're always raising more investment for our property pipeline. So head over to our website and register your interest to work with us now. Back to the video.
So one thing we did in Goldman Sachs, and Ben and I have always done it from day one, is like an organization chart of your staffing and roles responsibilities today, and then what it looks like in the future. So you can piece the right people in at the right stages. It's really difficult, like the Cameron, thinking about how many fee earners against operational people you're going to have in, because the operational people need to balance the amount of revenue coming in from a fee earner perspective. What we did is we've hired operationally when it's just too much, and that's actually the wrong way to go about it. You should hire ahead of time. And we weren't very good at forward planning that. We were thinking about fee earners first. And then we go, why are we doing this? We need someone in to help and pick up the backlash. And that's why now we've got an estate manager to hopefully enable the handover of all the stock that we're delivering at the moment with a simple process. So it's not putting our high value technical project manager into my heating's not on or whatever it may be. So forward planning that hiring process is important, because if you're just hiring to get a bum on a seat because you really desperately need it, you might not be getting the best talent for that. And it does take time to get the good talent in the business. I had a guy shadowing me the last 2 weeks, and he sort of said to me, he actually said to me this week, I think you need another assistant. But his question to me was, when do you hire an assistant? I said, when you hire someone. And that was it. Just like, when is when. And I was like, do it sooner rather than later. Me and the lads were talking on Ground Up. They said a billionaire, his fifth rule to being a successful business owner is hire your replacement. And that is quite a difficult thing to do, especially as a business owner. You go through like the phases of like a solopreneur is the business, and that is a non-saleable business. And we've talked a lot about books, but Built to Sell is a great one to show that a solopreneur business is not a saleable company. But if you move into a saleable business, it's normally one that you are doing the new business and creating sales, but you are not the fundamentals or the growing of the business. And then acknowledging sort of critical mass. When you're talking about the team size, you've also got to look about the size of the business once you are a successful bigger company. So I would say that all of our businesses are either small to medium. None of our businesses are huge yet or a large business. and they all need different types of people in different types of places. And if you're going to a large business and you make one hire, they might want to bring in a team. So thinking about the next stage, who's going around and filling those roles.
The first thing you need to understand is what you actually want from your business. Callum was quite clear, like he actually didn't want to build a massive team because ultimately he actually wants to move into development, but he wants to build a team enough that he isn't basically doing 100-hour weeks and he has the chance or opportunity to take a Wednesday off if he really wanted to, because he knows that the work is still going to get done in the background with his team. So yeah, understanding actually what you want from your business and then making a plan for it. And if you watch our, I think, first episode of 2025, it was all about kind of setting goals and using our strategy on a page templates to plan out actually what you want from the business, what you want from yourself, and how you're going to get there. So yeah, do tune into that if you haven't seen it already. If you got value from this video, make sure you click the subscribe button down below and ring the notification bell, because we release one video at least every week, so you'll be the first to get notified. See you on the next one.